Welcome to Lost in Transit Podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Spud Groshon. Now, if you missed it last week, I talked a little bit about over-tourism and some of the popular destinations plagued with this. This week on the show, I would like to give you some options. Some things to broaden your horizon and get you to think outside of the box. Maybe, just maybe, help ease that pressure of over-tourism that some of these destinations are feeling. So, let's begin. Destination number 1. Forget St. Mark's Basilica and the Piazza San Marco in Venice. Trade those places for the Hermitage Museum and Peterhof and the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. St. Petersburg is full of history, beautiful architecture, amazing art, and spectacular waterways. You can even take a river cruise. St. Petersburg is personally one of my favorite places in the world. I enjoy it thoroughly. But remember, if you're coming from America, you will need a visa in your passport for Russia before you go. Destination number 2. If you're Game of Thrones crazy and you just have to see Dubrovnik, Croatia, maybe sneak on down the coast a little to Rovinj. Rovinj, Croatia competes for the most picturesque destination in all of Croatia, with a fishing harbor that has pastel-colored Venetian-style buildings. Anybody can see why Rovinj is a strong competitor for Dubrovnik. Now, if you're in America and the national parks are your thing, skip out on all the RV driving families in Yellowstone, in Zion, in Yosemite, all these massive crowds, and head on up to Alaska for the Gates of the Arctic National Park. Gates of the Arctic is a backcountry park, so the only way to get into the park is to hike in from Fairbanks or fly in. The park is above the Arctic Circle, so keep that in mind. There are no roads, no trails, and no campsites. So please, please, please be proficient in backcountry survival skills. Now, if you're looking to party in Amsterdam's 24-hour red light district, maybe you should take it to someplace that's a little less crowded. Only a 5-hour train ride east, you find yourself in Hamburg, Germany. Hamburg can party. Hamburg has more bridges and canals than Amsterdam and Venice combined. It's a beautiful city with a plethora of different types of architecture. And it has that red light district you were looking for. If you're looking to head to Barcelona, maybe turn your sights a little further south. Head to Granada and the mountains, or head to Seville and try a flamenco class. I hear the wine is rather nice. Speaking of wine, if Tuscany, Italy, and Florence are your cup of tea, or glass of wine, I guess, maybe you should look into trying to go to Moldova. Now, Moldova you may not have heard of. Not only is it one of the least visited countries in Europe, it's one of the least visited countries in the world. Moldova is supposed to have a great wine country, if that's your thing. Now, for one, that kind of hits home for me, because I tend to travel back to Thailand quite often. I love the beaches. I love the blue water. It's a beautiful country. Such nice people. But it can be overrun with backpackers and tourists and all sorts of people. So, instead of going to Thailand, maybe make your way to the other side of the Indian Ocean and head to Mozambique. Mozambique has 1,500 miles of stunning coastline, most of which is unspoiled. They have pristine blue waters, and you can go island hopping off the Bazarato archipelago, if I'm saying that correctly. Please correct me if I'm not. Again, much like Russia, to go to Mozambique, you will need a visa in your passport before you go. Everywhere else that I've talked about, as Americans, you don't need a visa to go, which is excellent. The whole purpose of this, again, was to open your eyes to other destinations, other places that you might not have heard of, you might not have thought about. It just might not be on your radar in general. Please let me know what you think of the episode. Let me know what you think of the podcast. I intend on doing this for a while. Sometimes it's hard to come up with an idea. I'm thinking about bringing back interviews. Please let me know what you think about that. You can contact me at lostintransitpc@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, at Lost in Transit PC. You can follow us on Instagram at Lost in Transit Podcast. Get lost.